One of the first questions that I ask someone who asks me for a strategy is,
a sphincter says what?
do you know who your audience is? And one of the most frequently answers to that question is, It's not only an issue with new companies or products either. I've encountered the same confusion when asking well-established companies that have been around for years. So today I'm going to help you find your audience, whether you're just launching or have been in business for years, somehow not paying attention to who your customers are.
That's ridiculous.
My name is Tara, and this is Truly Social. In case you don't know this already, knowing and narrowing your audience is incredibly important.
Now, why would I know that?
Why? Well, for one, unless you have the operating budget of Coca-Cola, you cannot reach everyone. And Coca-Cola even has target audiences. Narrowing your audience makes your budget go further. For another, knowing and narrowing your audience makes for better content. People ignore generic messages, but will remember when you speak directly to them.
You talking to me?
Narrowing your audience focuses your message. You could spend $100,000 buckshotting a generic message to everyone, which probably won't appeal to anyone in particular, or you could spend $10,000 targeting a relatable message to the exact right person who will be more likely to respond.
You did that for me?
Well, then how do you determine what that exact right audience is? I mean, as you've identified, there are lots of different people that could potentially use your product or service.
I'm not sure. I'm afraid we need to use math.
That's where we use D.A.V.E. Well, Dave. D stands for density, A stands for affinity, V stands for vulnerability, and E stands for extroverted. So let's work our way backwards, E-V-A-D, if you will. E, or extroverted, doesn't just encompass the extroverts that you and I know as that person who can come into the room and talk to anyone. God, I wish I was that person. To be extroverted in the big E sense means that you are social within your own group, online or off.
We need to get all dressed up, and then we need to go to a club and drink fruity drinks and dirty dance with each other.
The audience that is most valuable to you talks. They interact. They spend time swapping information and recommendations. V, or vulnerable, is all about openness to new ideas, trying new things, switching. This is why teenagers and millennials are so valuable to brands. They're more willing to try new things.
Embrace your stereotypes.
Not me, though. I'm middle-aged. That new music is noise. I'm set in my ways.
A, or affinity, is all about shared interests. The more shared interests your audience has, the easier it will be to connect with more of them.
We both have so much in common. We both love soup.
For example, if you're trying to talk to people who like pizza, you really can only talk to them about pizza because so many people like pizza.
Order the double cheese and sausage.
But if you talk to people who like niche food, like vegans, they are sure to have more things in common to talk about lifestyle-wise.
At 12:27 a.m. on February 1st, you knowingly ingested gelato.
Gelato isn't vegan.
It's milk and eggs, bitch.
See how that works? And finally, D, or density. I've talked about this one before. How tight is this group? How much do they hang out, talk? Are they close? Do they have lots of trust built up between them? The closer the group is, the more likely messages are going to spread between them.
Did I not clearly explain the circle of trust to you, Greg?
This acronym, D.A.V.E, is what we use to figure out if an audience is right for a product, service, or show we're working on. Of course, our first step is to figure out the gamut of audiences that are available. We do this a variety of ways. If a client has an audience, we take a look at their current customers or followers to figure out more about them, usually their best or most recurring customers. the ones that talk already. One of the other ways we do this is through one of our favorite tools, Affinio. Affinio is a marketing intelligence platform that pulls data from social networks to determine the interests and behaviors of an audience. It gives really terrific insight into audiences and organizes them into something called clusters or tribes of people who have similar interests. So this is what Affinio looks like when it pulls in data from who follows certain Twitter handles. All of these unnamed clusters hold clues about who that audience is. It's a pretty amazing tool, and I'll go into it in a little bit more in depth at a later time, but for now, here's an example of an analysis where all of the audiences have been identified. As you can see, there are lots of options. So now, if you don't have an audience and you're just starting from scratch, you have no followers, no data to pull, you will have to pull data from proxy accounts, competitors, that sort of thing, or the accounts of influencers in the same industry. We generally find these on clear.com, Klear.com, where you can find influencers in pretty much every industry, even the niche ones. So after we pull the list of audiences from clear.com and Affinio and we pull them together, we run an analysis using D.A.V.E. to figure out where we should be targeting our efforts. Which of those clusters or audiences are the right ones for us to focus on?
All right, thanks for participating in our focus group, kids.
Okay, so I recognize that that's a pretty high-level overview. I know, but there's no way that I can cover the whole process of our research in a 6-minute video. I hope that you can use D.A.V.E. or D.A.V.E. to figure out your perfect audience. Let me know what other questions you have in the comments below, and also let me know what other topics you want to cover. I put out these videos every Sunday, so make sure that you subscribe and click the bell. My name is Tara, and this has been Truly Social.